Hello, what is up everyone, it is Truth Reviews here, and I'm back with another Fallout video, and this one's quite a good one in my opinion. So, if you like the video, please leave a like, please comment down below which faction you think is the least fun / entertaining to fight. Subscribe, you know what, let's get this channel to 600 subs by the end of this month. We ain't got many days left, but let's just do it, let's bang it out guys. So if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and yeah, let's get straight into the video. So I was there, sat on my bed, contemplating my next videos as the 2 or 3 videos I had tried so hard and put so much effort into had done so shit. I thought, well it's gotta be a Fallout video, because that's why everyone's here to watch my content at the end of the day. You're here to watch Fallout, and that's fine. So let's do a Fallout video. And I was sat there, because of my limited knowledge on the overall Fallout games. I haven't played Fallout 3 in ages, as you all know, and New Vegas I've never played yet. So I thought, what could I do with Fallout 4? And then it struck me, the factions. How fun do I find fighting each faction? Now there are 4 factions in Fallout 4, but we're going to minus one, we're going to minus the Minutemen. This is because you can't really ever fight the Minutemen, and they're more just there. The Minutemen are never your enemies unless you have the Nuka World DLC, so we'll just get them out of the way.
Hey, we need to talk. It's kind of important.
Are you upset about something?
Yeah, I am actually.
But if any of you were interested, they would be my least favourite to fight, because at the end of the day, they're raiders, but they're settlers, so they're just, they die in about 1 hit, and they're just boring, but we'll skim over them. So let's get straight into it. Let's see which faction is the best and most complex and most fun to fight, and which is the least fun to fight. If you've been watching the channel for a while, or if you've been watching my Fallout content for a while, I think it's pretty much a joke at this point how much I hate the Railroad. It's just seeped into my content as a daily Fallout video topic to talk about how I hate the Railroad. And yeah, the Railroad are my least favorite faction to fight.
Or I'll walk out of this arena!
Now I actually do have quite a few reasons why this is. For instance, in my opinion, the Railroad are literally just raiders, but with a little bit buffed HP, and they use different weapons sometimes. I feel like you can tell an enemy is not going to be fun to fight when they're dressed like a fucking cardboard box.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
But let's get into the Railroad. So you have Railroad Heavies and Railroad Agents, and here's my biggest problem with the Railroad as like their components, their units. There's only 2 massively different units. You've got the Heavies and the Agents. Now Railroad Agents might as well literally just be raiders. They'll carry random guns and they just use the exact same tactics as raiders. Also, they probably die easier than raiders, which is really odd. And then you got the Railroad Heavies, and I assume these sort of are put in the game to imitate the Brotherhood's Nights and the Institute's Synths, or rather Coursers, which are their heavy unit. And I can see why, you know, Bethesda did this. I mean, they need a heavy unit for each faction, otherwise the Railroad would be a complete joke. But the Railroad Heavies are a joke anyway. First of all, they're marginally weaker than the Coursers and the Knights, which makes sense from a lore perspective. I mean, the Railroad are a much smaller faction, but it doesn't then make sense for the huge guns they use. They use miniguns and like large machine like laser guns, and it's insane the guns they use, but yet they still die marginally easy, so it's so strange. The Railroad also only have 1 set Pacific gun. What I mean by this is normally factions have like their own gun they use, like their trademark gun. Well, the Railroad's gun I actually really like. It's like a spike gun. You shoot nails out of it, and it's really cool. It's like a train gun almost. It's a cool gun. But it's really easy to kill Railroad Agents with it. Like it's good when you're holding it and you're firing, but it feels like the Railroad Agents just have no idea what they're doing with this gun. Like you'd think it'd be a bit different, and you'd think when you're fighting agents it would feel kind of cool, because these agents should be slick. They should be trained with like, I don't know, stealth and stuff like that, but it just doesn't feel any different to fighting a heavy. One has a higher HP, and that's it. I mean, the biggest insult for me though is the fact that when you storm the Railroad, like when you go in to wipe them all out, every single main character you fight feels the exact same, minus Pam. They are all just raiders, like with buffed health. Desdemona and Deacon and Glory, they don't feel any different to kill. Like they've all got the same. I'd argue that the Railroad Heavies are actually stronger than the main characters in the Railroad. And I know I'm not really evaluating like actual characters, but like Deacon and like Desdemona, when you fight them, it's just laughable. Also, at what end stage you're so late into the game, whether it's the Brotherhood or whether you just want to I would never just want to kill the railroad.
Stop the cap.
Or whether it's the Institute, you're so late stage into the game, you just wipe them out with like no difficulty at all. When you go to the Brotherhood, it's a joke because the knights and the scribes that go with you, they do half the work for you. It's brilliant, really. Now up next we got the Institute. Now I've put the Institute in second for a number of reasons, and one of them is very personal to me, so you can criticize this as much as you want, but this is just my personal view. From a gamer, from someone who's been playing video games since they're about 4, I have always found it funner to kill something that is flesh, that is human or alien. For example, Halo, it's all aliens and stuff like that. Call of Duty is people, Battlefield is people. And those games where, in Star Wars for example, you kill droids and shit like that, I've always preferred killing stormtroopers because I don't know, I feel like it feels nicer when you're killing a human enemy. So the synths for me were already a bit of a turn-off, not because they weren't designed bad or weren't designed perfectly, I just personally preferred, especially in Fallout games, fighting more humanoid enemies, and that's just my opinion. That being said, the synths are a really odd one for me, because fighting basic synths is cool at first, like watching, like, especially when you fire on them and like bits of them fly off at you and like chunks of them fly off. But the Gen 1 synths are really strange to me because they're just sort of there. You fight Gen 1 synths so early on, like obviously Kellogg has them, and they're so easy to kill. It's laughable. Obviously when you're that lower level, they're not. But they're so often, they're the most like often enemy you fight, they're the most often faction you fight, so that it happens so often, you're fighting them so often, that, you know, obviously they're going to be easier. They use synth laser guns, which to me, I've never been able to use them properly. I don't know about you, but it's like, the design for a synth laser pistol or laser rifle is so odd to me. It literally looks like a rectangle. It's a rectangle that's painted cool. It's so strange, it's so bulky and just odd, and personally it does so little damage. Like, to me, I feel like it doesn't do enough damage unless you have a lot of synths, Gen 1 synths, herding around you or trying to kill you. It really does no damage. Gen 1 synths also use electric batons a lot, so that's just a bit random. But overall, the Gen 1s, they're a good enemy. Like, they're a good standard enemy to fight. I personally do like fighting them, especially when you get into a massive fight with them and you have multiple factions with you. But on your own, when you're like clearing a building, it just feels a bit sluggish, especially when you're at that late level. Because here's my problem with the synths: when you're fighting Gen 1 synths at a later level, unless it's a legendary Gen 1, they're so easy to breeze past. It's almost a joke.
GG. Let's go. Too easy, dude. Give me that crown. Boom.
I believe these synths are called Gen 2s, the ones I'm showing on screen now, and these are really odd to me as well because you hardly fight them at all. I mean, they're fine. They're like soldier synths. You fight them, you fight with them or against them in the Battle of Bunker Hill, and they're fine, but they're barely an upgrade. They look a lot more cooler. They look badass, but like, in terms of armor, yes, they're a lot harder to chip away at. And these are my funnest synths to fight, I've got to say. These are my absolute funnest synths to fight. They just feel a little bit more tactical and a little smarter. But for synths, you'd think they'd have, I don't know, some sort of weapon, some sort of, like, thing. They all use laser rifles, and then they don't have any, like, tactics. I don't know, I would have liked a synth that can sort of teleport around you. I don't know, something like that. Just make gameplay a little bit different. But these ones are sort of just there. I mean, without a doubt, the biggest disappointment for me is the coursers. I remember the hype I felt like going up to a courser, like the first courser you fight, of course. I remember the hype. Everyone's telling you how dangerous they are. You don't fuck with a courser will kill you. Desdemona's warning you. The Brotherhood warn you. Diamond City, there's talk of coursers. Virgil warns you. Everyone's there like, coursers are the shit. And then you fight one, and it's probably the most underwhelming fight ever in Fallout for me, like in Fallout 4. The coursers are literally just synths that can use stealth boys and have a much higher HP. That's it. There's no like teleporting around. They don't use a different weapon. They don't use any different tactics. They've just got a higher HP level, and they use a stealth boy. Now, the stealth boy is cool. It's cool that they use a stealth boy, I think, but it's just so annoying. Especially the stealth boys don't make any sense because they always shove these coursers into such small rooms, so the coursers can never actually get a chance to use the stealth boy and then get a jump on you. It just never works.
Hello? Can you help me?
So yeah, that's personally why I'd put the synths here. I feel like the Gen 1s and the Gen 2s are definitely the funnest to fight. Courses are just a bit mid. I mean, they're so mid, it's ridiculous. But they're alright. They're a decent faction, of course. They're the most fleshed out, but I wish their gameplay was there a little bit more. Now, in a way, I think it's unfair to put the Brotherhood at first, but I am. Now, the reason why I think it's unfair is because the Brotherhood have been in Fallout since, like, since the first game. Like, the first ever retro Fallout game. They've been in it, so like of course they're gonna have a lot more to work with and a lot more that's been tweaked. However, personally, fighting the Brotherhood is so much funner than any other faction in Fallout 4. Like, in terms of main factions, there's so much more depth to them. For example, I remember the first time I shot at a Pribwin. It was during my Railroad playthrough that I did quite recently, actually. And I thought, my character's built around stealth, and he was a bit of a lunatic, so I thought I'll shoot at the Pribwin because they're my enemies. And the combat feels so fun. The Pribwin will land, it'll drop off troops, and they'll like scout out for you and look out for you. And the way that random encounters with the Brotherhood, here's the other thing, right? No other like faction has something like the Pribwin. The Institute, when you find them just in the Commonwealth, they're just there. It's just a group of synths. And when you find Railroad in the Commonwealth, well, you don't normally, but if you did, it'd just be a group of Railroad agents. Whereas the Brotherhood, you got a Vertibird, which will drop off troops, and they'll fire from you above, and then taking down Vertibirds. Oh, so satisfying. Yeah, they can be a bit finicky and a bit glitchy, but they're so satisfying. Brotherhood scribes and like soldiers are the definition of a perfect like starting enemy. They're pretty much the exact same as the synth Gen 1s, except they're not robots, and they actually know how to use like tactics a little bit better. You'll often find them quite clumped together with a lot of troops. Not only does their design look amazing, but they use the normal laser rifle, and this is a critique from me. I wish like all the factions only really use one gun other than the Railroad, which use multiple like variants of guns. But they all like only use laser rifles pretty much, which is a bit annoying. But the scribes are so fun to fight. They're obviously easy to take down, like they're not a threat like at all. And even in the early game, they're not really a threat, so they do get a criticism there. But the soldiers, you know, they're so like the ground troops are so fun to fight. They're that fleshy enemy. It's like fighting a Call of Duty enemy almost. Like they are just very very fun to fight, I'd say. But I'd say the Gen 1 synths actually beat them here. But you know what they don't beat them in? The Brotherhood Nights. The first time I saw a Brotherhood Knight charging towards me, I almost shit my pants. Like, it was insane. It's so cool getting in these fights with these Brotherhood Knights, because sometimes they'll last for ages, and then sometimes they won't. Especially when you like link them all together. You'll have the scribes, the knights, and the vertibirds up in the sky. Like, it's insane that like you link all these together. For example, I actually got chased back to a farm, and I was holding this farm. It was me and Deacon and some settlers, and we were holding this farm against Brotherhood agents, I don't know, the Railroads in my head apparently, Brotherhood Knights and soldiers. And the Vertibird, there were two Vertibirds, they were like circling our position and firing down on us whilst they were dropping off scribes which were engaging us, and then two Brotherhood Knights came out from like the bushes and started to ambush us, and it felt so amazing, it felt so cool. Fighting Brotherhood Knights is so cool because they can last ages. It's like a massive military skirmish, and it really, the Brotherhood are a very militaristic faction, and fighting them feels like you're fighting a mobilized tactical army. Fighting Brotherhood Knights is so fun, like watching their armor ping off and their massive machine guns and laser cannons fire at you. It's great. Also, let's not forget about Elder Maxon. I mean, that guy, I know he gets a lot of criticism, and I know rightfully so, but in your last fight with him with the Institute, he comes down and fights you on a Vertibird. That is cool, and he's a different enemy. He uses a massive laser cannon, and he feels different to the other enemies that you fight that are in the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood, overall, they just feel funner to fight. There's a lot more going on with them. Knights, obviously, are their big unit, and they're strong and tanky, and they can be strong and tanky, but they can also be easy to fight. It depends your location, it depends what you have, and it's that sporadicness of, boom, there's a Vertibird there, they're dropping off knights you need to hold. Vertibirds are amazing to fight, and the explosion's brilliant. Scribes are sort of just there, but they're also a fun additional enemy to fight, and like all the powerful enemies like Elder Maxim, they just add to the already great arsenal of the Brotherhood. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do consider subscribing. I will respond to as many comments as you leave. I will look at all of them, will be looked at, and I will respond to as many of them as I can. So, you know, thank you ever so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please do check out other content. When I don't post Fallout content, it doesn't mean I'm done with Fallout. I'm definitely not done with Fallout. Only expect more and more in the future from me when it comes to Fallout. Just, I'd asked you to consider turning on the bell and just checking for other stuff I'm uploading. I do stuff on the Batman games. I've got a lot coming out on them. GTA, I've got a video coming out on. So, you know, I do other stuff on them Fallout, guys. So, you know, consider checking it out. But it's completely up to you at the end of the day. I hope you guys have stayed safe. I hope you guys have had a fantastic day. You guys stay safe. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.